Let's talk about history of operating system. So, what is operating system? An operating system is a powerful and usually large program that controls and manages the hardware and other software on a computer. All computers and computer-like devices require an operating system, including your laptop, tablet, desktop, smartphone, smartwatch, and your router. For example, the operating system is Windows. This is a type of operating system. So, this is Unix. It released in November 3, 1970. Unix systems are characterized by a modular design that is sometimes called the Unix philosophy. The operating system provides a set of simple tools that each performs a limited, well-defined function with a unified file system. The Unix file system as the main means of communication, and the shell scripting and the command language. To combine the tools to perform complex workflow, Unix distinguishes itself from its predecessor as the first portable operating system. Almost the entire operating system is written in the C programming language, this allowing Unix to reach numerous platforms. So, this is the Microsoft DOS. It released in 1981. MS-DOS is a single tasking single-user non-graphical command line operating system, originally developed for use with IBM's earlier line of personal home computers. MS-DOS is one of the most successful operating systems of its kind. As an operating system, DOS is simple, compact, and remarkable robust, especially considering its age. While it may have been surpassed by the newer and more user-friendly graphical user interface operating systems, MS-DOS remains in widespread use business and independent programmer throughout the world. Next is Windows 1.0. Windows 1.0 releases in 1985. Windows 1.0 is the first desktop environment developed and made by the Microsoft. It is built on top of Microsoft DOS. Unlike its successor, Windows 2.0 1.1 did not allow Windows to overlap each other. The devices has 256 KB of memory storage. So this is Windows 2.0. Windows 2.0 releases in 1987. Windows 2.0 is a 16-bit operating system environment from Microsoft released in 1987 to 1988. Windows 2.0, Windows 2.1, and Windows 2.3 were shells for the DOS system, providing a graphical user interface for improved interaction than the command line interface of DOS. Windows 2.0 was officially released on December 9, 1987 and superseded Windows 1.0. It was succeeded by Windows 2.1 in 1988, Windows 2.11 in 1989, then Windows 3.0 in 1990. Windows 2.0 was officially supported by Microsoft until December 31, 2001. It was the first window to have minimization and maximization. Next one is Windows 3.0. Windows 3.0 releases in 1990. In 1990, Microsoft releases this short-lived version of Windows. Windows 3.0, it came with a lot of improvement but also with lack of multimedia and network features, which made Windows 3.0 replaced quickly by Windows 3.1. The improvement of the appearance of the interface in Windows 3.1 was big. True color display ability make it much fancier than early version. Next is Windows 3.0. It releases in 1990. Microsoft released the short-lived version Windows. Windows 3.3, it came with a lot of improvement, but also with lack of multimedia and network features, which made Windows 3.0 be replaced quickly by Windows 3.1. The improvement of the appearance of the interface in Windows 3.1 was big. True color displayability makes it fancier than its earlier version and also make it ready for photo editing. The 3-mode Windows 3.0 is Real Mode, Standard Mode, and Enhanced Mode. Fits different levels of computer. The new design program manager cell that can manage both Windows compatible and MS-DOS program replaced the old MS-DOS executive. The program manager and file manager gave us like big icons to click and drag and drop. Next one is Linux in 1991. Linux is a family of open source Unix like operating system based on the Linux kernel. An operating system kernel fits first released on September 17, 1991 by Linux Torvald. Linux is typically packaged in a Linux distribution. Next one is Windows 3.1. It releases in April 1992. Windows 3.1, codename Janus, was a series of 16-bit GUI operating environment for MS-DOS developed by Microsoft for use on personal computers. The series began with Windows 3.1, which was released on April 6, 1992 as a successor to Windows 3.0. Were subsequent versions were released between 1992 and 1994 until the release of its successor. Windows 95 support for all 16-bit version of Windows ended on December 31, 2001. Next one, Windows NT 3.1. It releases in July 27, 1993. Microsoft Windows NT is an operating system that the first published version was Microsoft Windows NT 3.1 in 1993. It had a similar interface to Windows 3.1 with advantage networking capabilities and hardware support. Next one is Red Hat Linux. It releases in 1994. Red Hat Linux was the first Linux variant distributed by Red Hat, first released in 1994. Earlier releases of Red Hat Linux were also called Red Hat Commercial Linux, being designed for general commercial use in 2003. Red Hat dis- discontinued development of Red Hat Linux and switched their development focus to Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Next one is SUSE Linux. It releases in March 1994. SUSE Linux is a computer operating system. It is built on top of the free and open source Linux kernel and is distributed with system and application software from other open source projects. SUSE Linux is of German origin, basically an acronym of Software and System Entwicklung, and was mainly developed in Europe. The first version appeared in early 1994, making SUSE one of the oldest existing commercial distribution. It is known for its YAST configuration tool. Next is Caldera. This is also type of Linux. Caldera is releases in 1994. It's a defunct Linux distribution that was originally introduced by Caldera in 1997, based on the German LST Power Linux distribution, and then taken over and further developed by Caldera System. Since 1998, a successor to the Caldera network, developed put together by Caldera since 1995. Open Linux was an early business-oriented distribution, and for and the direction of development that came to most other distributions and the Linux community generally. Next one is Windows 95. Windows 95. It releases in August 1995. Windows 95 offers a completely new environment when compared to Windows 3.11. With its new with its new start button and desktop. Below are some of the other new features Windows 95 introduced, most of which are still used with current version of Windows. Plug and play. Plug and play allowed hardware devices to be automatically installed into the computer with the proper software. Does not require jumper to be used. And Device Manager. Introduce Device Manager to help list and control computer hardware. 32-bit. A 32-bit operating system allowing the computer to run faster and more efficient as well support 32-bit application. Registry. Combines the power of multiple configuration files into two registry files, allowing the system configuration to be located easier. Memory. Windows 95 has an improved memory handling processes compared to Windows 3.1. Right mouse click. Also access and text manipulation by utilizing the right mouse button instead of only one button. CD player. Enhance CD player with improved usability and autoplay features. Next one is Sun Solaris. This is also a type of Linux. Sun Solaris releases in 1998. Sun Solaris is known for its scalability, especially on SPARC system and for originating many improvement features such as dtrace, ZFS, and time slider. Solaris supports SPARC and workstation and server from Oracle and other vendors. Solaris is registered as compliant with the single Unix specification. Next is Windows 98. Windows 98 releases in June 1998. Windows 98 second edition is an update to the original Windows 98 that includes improved modern and sound audio card support through the Windows driver model, improved USB support, wake on LAN support, FireWire, DB Commander support, and mass storage device support. Internet Explorer 4.0 was also upgraded to 5.0, and internet connection sharing was its direct was 6.1 was also included with direct sound improvements with Media Player 6.2 was also shipped, replacing the old classic Windows 95 Media Player that originated with the Windows 3.0 MMC extension. Next one. This is a Mac OS X 10 Beta Kodiak. It releases in 2000. The Mac OS X public beta was an early test version of the Mac OS X operating system released to the public in late 2004. $30. Hardcore Macintosh fans could therefore get a taste of the upcoming operating system, but before its final release, it was named Kodiak internally by Apple. The name was not publicity use. The public beta was the first time people could use the Aqua interface. Virtually everything was new in the operating system. Font, the dock, even the menu bar, with an Apple logo at the center which was later repositioned. The icon exploded in size and new OS eye candy was all the rage. Next is Condara Linux. Condara is released in 2000. It's a Japanese distribution based on Rawhide. We had been providing Japanese add-on SRPM packages until they decided to release their distribution in cooperating with Digital Factor Japan. Is an expression of sound made when you touch a penguin. And also standards for mount is not unmount. The word Kondara is not a proper Japanese but a wordplay from a old Japanese TV animation and indicate their resolution to devote to this distribution. Let's work together. We need more input in many different aspects in developing distribution. So next is Windows 2000. Windows 2000 is released in February 17, 2000. Windows 2000 was a modernization of Windows NT 4.0, which brought many of the desktop changes, including Active Desktop to Microsoft Windows NT line. Four editions of Windows 2000 were released: Professional Serv- Server, Advanced Server, Data Center Server. Improvement of NT 4.0 include the new accessibility option, increased language and local support, encrypting the file, and Active Directory. Windows 2000 was first planned to replace both Windows 98 and Windows NT 4.0, all through using the NT kernel. For consumer and professional editions would not happen until Windows 2000 successor. So this is Windows ME. It releases in June 2000. Windows Millennium Edition, internally Windows 4.0, was the last in the line of DOS based on Windows product. Like Windows 95 and Windows 98, it used the same hybrid 16 to 32-bit kernel that run on top of bundle version of DOS. So this is Mac OS X 10.0 Cheetah. It releases in 2001. Mac OS X 10.0 dubbed Cheetah went on the sale for $129 on March 24, 2001. It brought the Aqua user interface and technology like preemptive multitasking and protective memory to a wider audience than the public beta. Cheetah required 128 MB of RAM, which seems but was more than most Mac users had in their system at the time. Even machines that surpass the system required run slowly under Mac OS X, which was the number compliant. I complained of user about the release. Next is Mac OS X 10.0 Puma. It releases in 2001. Was designed to address issues found in the initial release while primarily focused on performance. Puma also introduced improved CD and DVD burning support as well as DVD playback and a new version of Apple Script which much better ties into system functionally. Next is Mac OS X 10.1 Puma. Mac OS X was released in 2001. Was designed to address issues found in the initial release, while primarily focused on performance. Puma also introduced improvements CD and DVD burning support as well as DVD playback and the new version of Apple Script which much better ties into system functionally. Next is Windows XP. Windows XP is released in October 25, 2001. Windows XP is a personal computer operating system produced by Microsoft. As part of the Windows NT family of operating system, it was released to manufacture on August 24, 2000 and then broadly released for retail sale on October 25, 2001. So next is Mac OS X 10.2 Jaguar. It is released in August of 2002. Mac OS X 10.2 was in a way the first new release of Mac OS X to include a large number of new features, such as address book, iCall, iChat, as well as nerdier stuff like Scaps and Samba support and Rendezvous, renamed later to Bonjour. It sold for $129. Next is Mac OS X 10.0, 10.3 Panther. Releases in October 2003, Mac OS X 10.3 Panther cut off old world ROM. Macs like the bigger power Mac G3s and some early PowerBook G3 models, many users work their way around this with third-party tools that would trick the installer. Mac OS X 10.4 Tiger. It released in 2005. It sold for $129. It did so while taking big swings at Microsoft Windows. Tiger boosted features like Spotlight file search and more robust graphics APIs, as well as improved 64-bit support. With this release, Safari gained RSS support, mail received a visual overhaul, and PDF creation was made easier than ever thanks to a new button on the print dialog box. Next is Windows Vista. Windows Vista is released in November 30, 2006. Windows Vista is the successor to Windows XP in Microsoft Windows line of operating system. With the Vista iteration, Windows saw significant changes both in aesthetic design and available features, with a focus on creating a more diverse and user-friendly experience. The image below shows the Vista desktop and start menu, followed by the core features. Next one is Mac OS X 10.5 Leopard. It was released in 2007. Leopard was available as an upgrade to new Apple computers purchased after 1st October in 2007 that did not already have Mac OS X 10.5 installed or a Leopard upgrade DVD include. Leopard was the last OS released by Apple to support both the Intel and PowerPC architectures. Next is Windows Server 2008. It released in February 27, 2008. This is a Microsoft Server operating system that was released to the public on February 27, 2008. It most closely resembles Windows Vista in look and feel. Windows Server 2008 is a robust operating system, including many highly desirable features for server that have a demand for maximum uptime and availability. Next is Mac OS X Snow Leopard. Mac OS X is released in 2009. Snow Leopard were improved performance, greater efficiency, and the reduction of its overall memory footprints. Apple famously marked Snow Leopard as having zero new features. Its name significant its goal to be refinement of the previous OS X version. Leopard, much of the software in Mac OS X was extensively rewritten for this release in order to make the advantage fully of modern. New programming frameworks such as OpenCL were created, allowing software developers to use graphics card in their application. This is also the first Mac OS release is in System 7.1 that does not support Mac using PowerPC processor. So next is Windows 7. Windows 7 is released in October 22, 2009. Windows 7 is built on the Windows Vista kernel and was intended to be an update to the Vista OS. It uses the same Aero user interface UI that debut in Windows Vista. As a result, to many end users, the biggest changes between Vista and Windows 7 were faster boot times, new UIs, and the addition of Internet Explorer. The OS is widely available in three retail editions: Windows 7 Home Premium, Professional, and Ultimate Starter. Home Basic and Enterprise Edition are available in some markets. Next one is Android 1.5 Cupcake. This is OS for Android. It releases in April 27, 2009. Which early 2009, Android 1.5 Cupcake releases. The tradition of Android version name was born. Cupcake introduced numerous refinements to the Android interface, including the first on-screen keyboard. Sometimes that be necessary as phone move away from the one's keyboard model. This is Android 1.6 Donut. It released in September 15, 2009. Android 1.6 Donut rolled into the world in the fall of 2009. Donut filled in some important holes in Android Center, including the ability for the OS to operate on a variety of different screen size and resolutions, a factor that be critical in the years to come. It also added support for CDMA network-like version, which will play a key role in Android imminent explosion. This is Android 2.0 Eclair. It releases in October 26, 2009, keeping up the breakneck release pace of Android's early years. Android 2.0 Eclair emerged just 6 weeks after Donut. It's the point 1 update, also called Eclair, came out a couple of months later. Eclair was the first Android release to enter mainstream consciousness thanks to the original Motorola Droid phone and the massive version led marketing campaign surrounding it. Then this is Android 2.3 Gingerbread. It releases in December 6, 2010. Android first true visual identity started coming into the focus with 2010. Gingerbread release. Bright green had long been the color of Android robot mascot, and with Gingerbread, it became an integral part of the operating system appearance. Black and greens save all over the UI as Android started its slow march toward distinctive design. So this is Android 2.0 Froyo. It released in May 20, 2010, just 4 months after Android 2.1 arrived. Google served up Android 2.2 Froyo, which revolved largely around under the hood performance improvements. Froyo did deliver some important front-facing features through including the addition of the now standard dock at the bottom of the home screen, as well as the first incarnation of voice actions, which allowed you to perform basic function like getting direction and making notes by tapping an icon and then speaking in command. This is Android 3.0 Honeycomb. It released in February 22, 2011. Honeycomb period was a weird time for Android. Android 3.0 came into the world as a tablet-only release to company the launch of the Motorola Zoom, and through the subsequent 3.1 and 3.2 updates, it remained a tablet exclusive. Under the guidance of newly arrived Design Chief Matias Duarte, Honeycomb introduced a dramatically reimagined UI for Android. This is Mac OS X Lion. Mac OS X 10.7 Lion was published shown at the back of the back Apple special event on October 20, 2010. It brought by many developments made in Apple iOS, such as an easily navigate display of installed application to the Mac, and includes support for the Mac App Store. As introduced in Mac OS X, its newly offered version 10.6 on February 24, 2011, the first developer preview of Lion was released to subscriber to the Apple Developer Program. Android 4.0 Ice Cream Sandwich. It released in 2011, with Honeycomb acting as the bridge from old to new. Ice Cream Sandwich, also released in 2011, served as the platform officially entered into the era of modern design. The release refined the visual concept introduced with the Honeycomb and reunited tablet and phones with a single unified UI version. This is Android 4.1 Jelly Bean. It released in July 9, 2012. Jelly Bean brought about our first taste of Google Now. The spectacular predictive intelligence utility that sadly since devolved into a glorified newsfeed. It gave us expandable and interactable notification, an expanded voice search system, and a more advanced system for displaying search results in general, with a focus on card-based results that attempt to answer questions directly. Multi-user support also came into play on tablets only at this point, and an early version of Android. Quick settings panel made its appearance. Jelly Beans user in a heavily hyped system for placing widgets on your lock screen. This is Mac OS X Mountain Lion. It released in 2012. Mountain Lion was released on July 25, 2012 for purchase and download through Apple Mac Store. As a part of switch to releasing OS X version online and every year rather than every 2 years or so, named to signify its status as a refinement of the previous Mac OS X version. Apple stated aims in developing Mountain Lion were to allow users to more easily manage and synchronize content between multiple Apple devices and to make the operating system more familiar. Then this is Windows Server 2012. It released in September 4, 2012. Windows Server 2012 R2 is the successor to Windows Server 2012, Microsoft's enterprise server operating system. Developed under the Windows Server Blue code name, Windows Server 2012 R2 made its official debut in late 2013. This is Windows 8. Windows 8 is released in October 26, 2012. Windows 8, codename Midori, is a version of Microsoft Windows that was released on October 26, 2012. This iteration contains some of the biggest changes Microsoft has made to their operating system since Windows 95. It features new programming and technology that makes run faster than the previous version. It also has a more streamlined look and feel. Windows 8 includes a tablet interface called Metro, which is compatible with touch screen display and still offers access to the traditional Windows desktop. Below is an example of the new Windows 8 start screen, which replaced the start button and start menu. This is Windows 8.1. It released in October 17, 2013. Windows 8.1 runs on touchscreen devices as well as traditional computers that rely on the mouse and keyboard. Microsoft designed Windows 8.1 to address widespread complaints about Windows 8. Most notably, Windows 8.1 reinstart the start button, a familiar navigational features of previous OS versions. Microsoft also made it easier to open and close and multitasking among the several apps using a mouse. This is Mac OS X 10.9 Mavericks. It released in 2013. The update emphasized battery life, other improvements for power users, and continue iCloud integration as well as bringing more of Apple iOS apps to OS X Mavericks, which was named after a surfing location in Northern California. Was the first in the series of OS X release named for places in Apple home state. Earlier release used the name of Big Cats. Android 4.0 KitKat. It released in October 31, 2013. Late 2013, KitKat release marked the end of Android dark era, as the blocks of gingerbread and the blue of honeycomb finally made their way out of the operating system. Lighter background and more neutral highlights took their places, with a transparent status bar and white icons giving the OS a more contemporary appearance. 4.4 also saw the first version of OK Google support, but in KitKat, the hands-free activational prompt worked only when your screen was already on and you were either at your home screen or inside the Google app. Next one is Android 5.0 Lollipop. Android Lollipop released in 2014. Google essentially reinvented Android again with its Android 5.0. Lollipop releases in the fall of 2014. Lollipop's launch, the still present today, material design standard which brought a whole new look that extended across all of Android, its app, and even other Google products. The card-based concept that had been scattered through Android become a core UI pattern. Mac OS X 10.10 Yosemite. It released in 2014. Yosemite presented the most drastic changes in several years. The interface includes many translucent elements in which objects are semi-transparent. It includes a more flat design than earlier version of OS X with new icons and new window style that do not have a glossy finish. While the design is not a flat, is iOS X 8. Yosemite update style makes OS X and iOS more similar in appearance. Next one is Windows 10. Windows 10 released in July 15, 2015. Windows 10 is a series of personal computer operating system produced by Microsoft as part of its Windows NT family of operating system. It is the successor to Windows 8.1 and was released to manufacturer on July 15, 2015 and broadly released for retail sale on July 29, 2015. Windows 10 receives new build on ongoing basis, which are available at no additional cost to user in additional test build of Windows 10. Next is Android 6.0 Marshmallow. It released in October 5, 2015. Marshmallow most attention grabbing element was a screen search feature called Now on Top. Sometimes that, as I said at the time, had tons of potential that wasn't fully tapped. Google never quite perfected the system and ended up quietly retiring its brand and moving it out of the forefront the following years. 6.0 did introduce some stuff with lasting impact through including more granular app permission, support for fingerprint reader, and support for USB Type-C. And this is OS X 10.11 El Capitan, released in 2015. OS X El Capitan enhancements largely focus on performance and user experience over major new features. With El Capitan, Apple registered the Mission Control Windows Management tool and the Spotlight Search tool, and it has improved core apps like Mail, Notes, and Maps throughout the operating system. Android 7.0 Nougat, released in August 22, 2016. Google 2016 Android Nougat releases provided Android with a native split screen mode, a new bundle by app system for organizing notification, and a data saver feature. Nougat added some smaller but still significant features too, like an Alt-Tab-like shortcut for snapping between apps. Next is Android 8.0 Oreo. It released in August 21, 2017. Android Oreo added a variety of nice to the platform, including a native feature in picture mode, a notification snoozing option, and notification channel that offer fine control over how apps can alert you. macOS X 10.13 High Sierra. It released in 2017. The most notable performance improvement in High Sierra is the introduction of a new file system called Apple File System, or APFS. The new file system is designed to operate more efficiently on SSD and other flash memory drives. It improves overall responsiveness and speed up common tasks such as copying files and calculating the size of a folder. It also includes native built-in encryption to protect data from unauthorized access. Finally, AFS makes system backup faster and more reliable. This is 9.0 Pi for Android. It released in October 6, 2018. The freshly baked scent of Android Pie, aka Android 9. Wafted into the Apple ecosystem in August of 2018, Pie most transformative changes was its hybrid gesture button navigation system, which traded Android's traditional back, home, and overview keys for a large multi-function home button and a small back button that appeared alongside it as needed. macOS 10.14 Mojave. It released in 2018. macOS Mojave is a minor update to macOS but includes a few notable new features. One of the most significant is dark mode, which makes the menu bar and window backgrounds dark. It also changes the light gray and white background of supported application to dark gray with white text. Dark mode was inspired by the dark interface of software development IDEs used by programmer and is intended to reduce eye strain. And that's all. Thank you.